hard.
Yeah, Alice wrote one.
Alice,
yeah, actually, the one right there. How do you mix emotional pleasure
There
during
you
sex
go,
with the
with
physical
physical
pleasure?
pleasure.
I really like that question.
Okay. So do you think you love that?
I know. I feel like that could be a question for
Like,
all of us. You know. So
Yeah.
one thing that I think people have to figure out what gets them amped up and ready for emotional pleasure. Like, what is emotional pleasure? How do you define it? So is it like a kind of energy you feel between two people?
mm-hmm.
Is it conversation? Is it chemistry?
Right.
Is it a series of rituals you do? You know, like a ritual can
yeah.
be like, you know, having a drink or having tea or having a conversation
Right.
first.
Right.
Or
going dancing, and then we go have a thing, and then we go
Yeah.
home. Like, your ritual can be any number of, like,
so many
things.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. For some people, it could even be, you want to work out together at home, you know, do yoga together, and then you have all this like energy, and then, you know, then you have sex.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out what emotional connection and emotional intimacy means to you, and then think about how you want to build that in. There's going to be some people you want to build that in with, and there's going to be other people where you're like, it feels much better to not build that in, right? Because there's some people that you have conversations with them and you're like, oh my God, this is killing my fantasy. Fair. That's fair. That's
Exactly.
real. So some people you
gosh.
don't want to do that with, and there's other people where I think about like this arc, you know, where you think about what do I need to do before and after, and think about that as the full package of sex. If in this sexual encounter I want to have both physical sex, like if I want to have sexual and emotional intimacy or connection, then I'm going to need something before and I'm going to need something after. So I have to plan that, you know? So it might be like, I'm not just looking for a hookup. I'm looking for someone who wants to hang out, have sex, or do an activity, a specific, like a bondage activity, a stretching activity, a yoga activity, a glass of wine, something before.
Yep.
I want to have this kind of sex.
Yep.
I want someone to go down on me. I want my butthole eaten. I want this. I want that. And then, you know, here's some things that I'm open to. And then afterward, I really would love to order food with somebody, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
might not get
Netflix
all
and
the
chill
things,
after.
You have to lay it there. Like, you have to put it all out there because
Yes.
that's part of what emotional connection is.
Right.
It's not just the physical. So what you're saying is when you're with somebody physically, you want it to be imbued with a kind of pre-existing dynamic. So you have to create that dynamic. And we don't evaluate sex just based on the time that we're having it.
Right.
We evaluate it retroactively. So after it's done,
yes.
think about it. So after it's done, you want to be thinking about the hangout that you had with that person where you ordered takeout, or you watched a movie, or you just had a short conversation, or you gave each other a massage or something, right? So figure out what the things are so that during and when you reflect on it afterward, you could say, oh yeah, I did these things that allowed me to have both emotional and sexual connection.
Yes.
Got
Yes.
it. Yeah, it's like define it just the way you would define your sexual activities, because usually you're pretty clear about, well, this would work and that won't. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this right before I like this. You know,
Yeah, but you should also say that about your emotional stuff, which I realize I didn't do. I mean, I feel thankful that I'm in this relationship now, but I do remember when we first started dating or having sex, and I remember coming over actually to this house. I didn't live here yet. And we worked in his garden at the time, which is now
One of our first dates was like garden.
Yeah,
stuff.
he was like, I'm gonna like add some mulch to the garden, and I was like, I want to do that. And I remember feeling very like sexually and relationshiply, emotionally connected with him in that way. And I didn't ever ask for to define it, but I'm glad that I got it. But now I'm realizing that I could have been more clear.
Hippie thing you could say. We gardened together, and that really made the sex feel more intimate.
It was so hot. So we were all like sweaty and like shoveling stuff.
Great.